Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the SquareZero Podcast. My name's Matt. Today I'm joined again by Owen, and we're here to talk about our adventures into video game creation. How you doing this week, Owen?
I'm doing very well this week. How are you doing this week, Matt?
I'm doing amazing. I've actually done something against all odds.
Well, I mean,
did something.
Yeah, you did, didn't you?
I did, and so did you.
You did just.
Yeah, just about. So the podcast was actually meant to be recorded yesterday, but we couldn't record yesterday. Thank God, because I hadn't done anything. So I spent today doing my work.
I messaged Matt yesterday saying, so what have you done this week? And he says, I've made a grey textureless cube. And then I one-up him by telling him I've made a grey textureless cube that moves.
I was really banking on you being like, oh yeah, I also did nothing. Let's push it to next week. And I was like, fuck, Owen's actually done something. That means I have to do something or he'll laugh at me.
I kind of am laughing at you behind because, like, goddamn, you didn't do anything until, like, you didn't even do anything on Sunday because you couldn't, but you didn't do anything all week, man.
But I did, and that's all that counts. That's all that counts.
Oh my God.
I handed in the assignment when the teacher said... The teacher extended it at the end, and from a stroke of luck.
The teacher extended it by a day, and you were so lucky that you got it done the night before the extension date.
Although, when we actually delve into what I did... I kind of got stumped pretty early on.
Yeah. I mean, I did too, so I don't blame you. So we should probably just dive straight into it.
Are we going to go on to me first, or are we going to go on to you first?
No, I want to hear what you got done, Matt.
Okay, all right. So, whole premise of this podcast, we're going to be talking about what we've learned in game creation every week. I do the art side of things, or I'm going to be. So, 3D modeling. And I mentioned last week, like to do some low poly stuff. So, I made a low poly sword, and it was. Hopefully, there's a picture of it on screen.
Yeah, if you're watching it on YouTube, there should be a picture. If you're watching it on
YouTube, if you're listening on SoundCloud, I'll leave like a image link in the description or something. Yeah, so I was learning step by step how to do everything because I was watching this tutorial, and he went through everything so quick. Even though it said it was for beginners, so I didn't really get it. So every other thing he did, I was like, wait, Google, quick, how do you actually do that? So there was a lot of that, and there was a lot of me staring at the screen for hours being like, I don't get how I meant to so when I had the sword, I had to stretch out, the model to get the, main length of the sword. So when it got to that bit, that stopped me for at least 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I did not understand how to do it, but eventually I did it, and I learned actually a fair bit. So, because the whole thing, I didn't want to do one of those tutorials where you used to get this a lot on websites like Newgrounds. If you wanted to do Flash tutorials, they'd tell you everything to do, but you wouldn't really understand what you were doing. And you wouldn't be able to do it again. You weren't learning, you were just copying.
Yeah, definitely.
I wanted to make sure I was actually learning, and I do feel like I've learned a bit. But if you've seen the picture, which hopefully you have now, you will notice that it is grey and textureless.
Yes.
And that is because the last 2 hours, on and off, I got really frustrated, and I was trying to work out how to I was working out how to do it. I can't do it. It's really confusing because you have to so it's not just applying the texture straight onto the model.
Yeah, you have to export the texture map, surely.
Well, I did. Well, the thing is I saw a thing. So you can literally do, because I was just going to do block colors to begin with. I was like, right, so all I have to do is, because you see the typical map where it's the texture and the model wireframe flattened out on top of that.
Absolutely, yeah.
You can actually do it so you have just 4 colors in one color on each quarter, and you can select which face you want to go on which only works for like really simple stuff, of course. That's all I was doing, so I didn't want like advanced texturing. I couldn't even do that because you have to make a material and apply the texture to that before you apply it to the model, and I didn't get it. I just did not get it. So my aim, I'm going to say, next week is to do a new model, because Owen absolutely tore into my sword skills.
Not really. Like, it's...
He fucking unloaded into me. That sounded really gay.
Yeah, it did, actually.
Owen just you hated the sword so much. You were like, actually, Matt, if we didn't have to record right now, I'd tell you to do it again, because it's just not good enough for my standards. Besides making a new model, I need to learn how to apply textures. Well, hopefully I'll learn how to do textures, because otherwise the game's going to be about a grey everything. A grey sword floating around, which we'll get to in a minute. Floating around a void, looking for colour. But the twist will be that there is no colour, because I can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, I can do different colours in Unity, so...
Oh shit, maybe you can be the colour guy.
Like, I could actually do more texturing than you, technically. Just solid colours are like a default thing that Unity does.
Well, alright, next week I'm going to absolutely show you up.
I want you to make like a door or something.
A door?
Yeah.
Why a door?
I don't know.
Alright, I guess I'll make a door. I want to make...
With quite a complex texture.
A complex... Owen.
Yeah.
Please, I haven't even done block colours yet. Give me a break. I guess with a door it's easy, because I just have to do like a
it's just a square, yeah, or like not a square, but you go, it's a, yeah.
You know what? Maybe I'll do a couple things. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, Matt's gonna do more than one thing next week. Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see. I mean,
we'll see.
Like once you've done it once, like it should be easy to do
like
it again
that's the
anyway.
thing.
So,
like now, I'm thinking of doing a door, because literally the shape you start out in Blender is a cube, and most of the work I did in the sword was like using the sizing tool, and it's the button for E. I think it's extract. I think it calls it. Where you like make another face off of the face you're already on.
Right.
But like literally with a door, you just use a sizing tool to like flatten it and then make it taller. And that's kind of it. And then you'd make like dents in the door and add on like a doorknob or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So it should be like super easy.
No, that's exactly the sort of thing that I was thinking of, yeah.
We're going to cut to next week. I'm going to be screaming like I couldn't work out how to add the other parts of the door on top of the door.
The doorknob. Oh, that fucking doorknob.
I spent 4 hours doing a doorknob. All right, but that's mine, basically. Basic understanding. It did take me over a week to do it, but I did it, and that's all that counts. This is more like, it's weird. I know I did it all last minute, but I'm still actually a little bit proud of myself that I've actually done something.
Wow.
Not proud, not like, I'd post this around online like, I'm a fucking game dev, look at me. But like, I've actually done something. This is some work. I did something that is 3D.
Yeah. You definitely did. Like, as much as I shit on the sword for like how it's shaped and how it looks nothing like a real sword, it's certainly a model.
You can't say it looks nothing like a sword. I think it looks a bit like a sword.
Okay, fine.
It reminds me of like a RuneScape sword.
Yeah, no,
I keep looking at it, and it gives me RuneScape vibes.
Like, I've not played RuneScape, and I absolutely see what you mean.
I wish I could go back in the past, like 15 years or whatever, and get Jagex to hire me, because these skills would have been the fucking bomb back then. I would have had a job. Right, Owen, let's talk about what you did. You're like much more substantial, sophisticated work of art, considering you shit all over what I did.
So I made...
What'd you do?
I just want to clarify. I didn't actually shit on anyone's piece. Right, before Matt...
you didn't literally shit on it.
Matt pretends...
Figuratively.
Before Matt pretends that, like, I berated him for this god-awful sword of his. Like, I didn't. Before he's going to, like, use that against me in the podcast as if I actually said anything. He's going to be mad about the hypothetical thing I did.
I mean, you could listen to Owen, but I mean, why would you listen to a piece of shit that would just lay into someone on their very first model? Why would you listen to someone like that?
Yeah, and here's you. You're going to lay into me on my very first game, and you're not equally as much of a piece of shit.
Actually, you said you'd done things in Game Maker. You've made games before, technically.
Yeah, I did. I'd made something in RPG Maker as well.
Yeah, and RPG Maker. Like fucking Undertale was made in Game Maker.
Mm-hmm.
Owen made Undertale. And now, go into the description. We've got it on download. Owen's first 3D game. And like, what a step down from Undertale this is. Like, come on. Owen, tell us, pitch us your game.
My game is you play as a cube that just can't stop sliding. I'm laughing while saying it because...
We need to stress that point. It just can't stop.
Because it's like when I put it together, I was like, holy shit, why is it sliding so goddamn much? And I know
Once
why.
that boy gets going.
I know why. It's because there's no maximum speed set to it. So it just keeps accelerating forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, like I only played it I say played. I only looked at it.
Oh, excuse me. Is it not in an executable file that you can open? And does it not have like an ultra graphics setting and a?
It did have an ultra graphics setting.
Then how is that not a bit? That's what kids are into these days.
I was blown away by the graphics. Ultra.
I mean, the anti-aliasing on it might be really shit, but it still says ultra.
It does say ultra.
If
I was pressing, I made it go forwards, a fair bit into the background, and then I literally had to hold on to the back key for at least 5 to 10 seconds before it even thought about slowing down.
Yeah. It takes a very long time to slow down.
And then, it is a levitating cube as well. It's not even on the ground.
Yes, because there is a flat plane. And because it wasn't always a cube. At one point, it was a sphere, but I said I'd make a cube in last week's podcast, so I did a cube. And it was a sphere because that's like the default tutorial on the Unity website. So I just kind of followed that. And I realized why it's a sphere because spheres roll, and Unity's
that is true.
Yeah, and Unity's physics engine is like. It already has a physics engine. I didn't even realize that Unity had a default physics engine. I assumed you'd have to do all that shit yourself.
So really what you're trying to say is you basically did nothing.
I basically did something that just moves a fucking cube. So because a cube can't actually move, Unity doesn't like sliding a cube on the ground. So I just turned gravity off and just lifted it off the ground a little bit so it kind of just hovers on the ground.
And that took you a solid week. You were slaving over this every single day. Blood, sweat, and tears.
So the real reason why I didn't do anything was because I played a shitload of Destiny 2 this week and I'm fessing up to it. Matt has no excuse. Matt didn't play video games. Matt didn't do anything. He's just a lazy piece of shit.
I worked, I guess.
So did I.
I went to work.
So did I.
I edited some videos.
Boo-hoo.
Real hard work.
I played video games.
Whoa. Well, Destiny 2, because we're not, at least right now, we're not doing huge amounts. So, I was just kind of brief things of what we've been doing. Like I said, you can see the picture of what I've been doing. You can download what Owen's been doing in the description. But we also have some topics to talk about, either related to different aspects of game design, things we can learn from things happening in games at the moment or games we've played, etc. So Destiny 2 kind of transitions into what Owen wants to talk about. And I still don't know, because he kind of explained it, but I didn't really get it. So, Owen, please explain it to everyone and also me.
So, yeah, I kind of, because we brought this up last week. We were talking about story. We were talking about doing a narrative in video games, or a narrative-based video game.
Mhm.
And I wanted to talk about the sin that Destiny commits. Not only Destiny 1, but also Destiny 2. Ignoring like all the shit that Destiny 1 did that was dumb anyway. It's like the story just like not being there. Destiny 2 has the like it's I don't want to call it an MMO, but let's, for the purpose of this, call it an MMO, because it's the same trope that's done. It kind of is, yeah, but not really. Like, literally by the definition of, it's not massive. Ergo,
you're right, it's a bit shit.
An MMO. No, I mean, like, it's not, there's like 26 people.
I get it.
You get 26 people in an instance instead of like fucking hundreds of people in an instance. It's not massive.
But like, is an instance like the missions you do, or are they like raids?
What do you mean?
Like, what is an instance? I've not played Destiny. What is an instance?
An instance as in literally like a version of that area of a map or whatever.
So say the hub world or whatever, you can only have 26 people in it?
Yeah.
Oh, alright, never mind. Yeah, it's not that massive at all.
Yeah, the raids only have 6 people in them, Matt.
Damn.
Like, I swear I've told you this before, but it's not massive at all.
You imply that I, listen.
Okay, fine. But
I'm
yeah,
gonna forget all this by next week.
That's all I'm prefacing, because like people get mad when you call it an MMO, but there isn't really any other way to describe it.
Because Destiny is just so cool and unique and totally worth sinking 3 days into.
It's an MMO that doesn't have the massive bit, but it's got all the other bullshit. Anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't have the good bit about MMOs, like
playing with lots of people. The
bad
bad bit about spending hours grinding.
Because an MMO is like a shit RPG that you get to play with lots of people and having lots of people make it fun. Destiny is like, a shit FPS without lots of people. If you want lots of people, go play MAG on the PlayStation 3.
Well, Destiny is a shit RPG FPS that you play with like 1 or 2 friends at a time, instead of 10 people at a time. Anyway, both of the games have the problem where your character is the most important character in the world.
You're the chosen one, Owen.
Yeah. You are. I mean, it's not really that you're the chosen one, but it's that sort of thing. Like, and Destiny 1 kind of had that problem because, like, you solved all the problems in the fucking world, and it was like, you killed, like, literal gods. And then also the gods that came after you.
You're trying to say you killed gods and you're not the chosen one?
But then, like, and then gods came after you when you killed their gods. And it was like, oh my god, like, fucking, like...
Yeah, oh my god, that's right.
It's so stupid because, like, I'm just, like, this is all supposed to be one character did all of this shit. What about all the other players in the world? Did they just, like, not do any of that? And, like,
all the other, like, 5 people that can be in one Destiny instance. What about them?
Yeah, exactly. What about them? What did they do? And this one, like, goes even worse because I don't know if you've heard, like, the premise of the story behind Destiny 2 is that everyone loses their powers.
Right.
But clearly, like, that would be a boring game if you just, like, had no, like, abilities or anything. So you get them back, like, within 3 missions or so. But no one else does until the very end of the story.
Right.
But
then the problem is everyone else does.
Yes. Whilst you're playing the game, you're walking around and seeing all the other people that have also got their powers back. But at the same time, the characters in the story are complaining about not having their powers back.
That's just really bad writing.
Yeah, like, that would be fine on its own as a single-player game.
Yeah.
But it's not on its own.
It's like, why wouldn't you design the game... Because I get it, like... So many MMOs have this problem, because I used to play a lot of MMOs when I was younger, but not that bad.
No.
Like, normally it would be you're the chosen one and you've got to do all this important stuff, but like, so does everyone else. But how do you avoid that? Because they have to. Yeah. This is them implementing a story thing that they don't have to, that just makes it like I don't know whether to describe it as immersion, but it ruins that.
It does. Like, immersion is probably the way I would describe it as well. That is probably the best way to put it, because it is absolutely like immersion breaking when, like, especially it's kind of a bit immersion breaking because the PvP mode in Destiny is like canon to the story. Because like in the Destiny world, no one can actually die, and so when you kill yourself, when you die in like PvP mode, you respawn the same way that you do like in any other bit of Destiny lore.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of immersion breaking when you are supposed to be the only person in the world who has this power back. So presumably everyone else can die, and the other characters do quite frequently mention, if we die, we never come back. But then you're going into like PvP and you're shooting people in the face,
and they come back.
Yeah, when no one else is supposed to have this power.
Why didn't they? So, like, just to be clear, it's definitely not like only a select group of people got their powers back early. It's literally
like,
just you.
That's what I thought it was. And then like they mentioned something about like you being the only one that has your powers back.
So you were like, no, Matt, it's not about being the chosen one, and then you literally just explained about how you literally are the chosen one.
I mean, it's not, but it's not literally the chosen one.
But it is. If you're the only one that gets him back, you're the chosen one.
No, but it's by chance. It's not the chosen one in the same sense of
like... Yeah, you were chosen by chance.
Fine, okay, I guess you could describe it like that. Anyway, in Destiny 1, you weren't the chosen one. You kind of just, like, the events of Destiny 1 kind of just happen, and, like, you just so happen to fall into place that you're the person who does all of the things. But in Destiny 2, yeah, you are the chosen one. And it's really stupid.
That does sound very stupid.
But another thing that Destiny 2 does, I mean, the story overall is actually, like, as I say, it's really good for, like, not really good. It's pretty good.
Well, I was actually going to ask
for, like,
how, like, story dependent or story focused, I should say, is Destiny 2. Like, you know, so you got a lot of games that you play, most MMOs really. No, a lot of MMOs, not all of them. You know, you just don't care about the story. Don't play it for the story. Doesn't matter.
You don't play Destiny.
You just skip past all of it. Is like, would anyone be like, oh, I can't believe like the story in Destiny 2 was subpar or something? Is that something people genuinely
no
care
one
about?
would care about? And that was always the funny thing. Like when, like, yeah, Destiny 1 had a pretty shit story, but like at the same time, like, why did people care? Because that wasn't the bit that like you played Destiny for. You played Destiny for the raid or PvP or running like the strikes or like the dungeons effectively over and over again. Like you didn't play Destiny for the story. So I never got why so many people gave a shit about it. But this game did have a better story. But again, like, you just don't care about it.
There's a thing of like, why bother having like, why bother like putting so much effort into a story seemingly just to have it not be good, you know?
Yeah.
Because like, is Destiny cutscene heavy?
Yeah, it's got a few cutscenes, yeah, quite a few. Like,
and like, so you have all of these characters and cutscenes and everything, and like, you know, you don't. That is like time and money, you know, for, you know, them to input to put that stuff into the game. So like, why not do it well?
I think the bad things in the story about Destiny 1 are those things I mentioned about, like, it's inconsistent. Like, the characters make sense and their motives make sense and they explain shit to you, which is great because none of that happened in the previous game. It's not quite as linear. Like in the last game, it was like you go from Earth to the moon to Venus to Mars, and then you end on Mars. That's where the story ends. In Destiny 2, it's like you go from the Earth, you go to another planet, you come back to Earth. There's other optional story bits on the other planets as well that you can do once you've completed all the stuff on Earth. Well, yeah, and they have like their own story to it. So not part of the main story, but like
a good side quest.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And there's shit like that. So like it's a lot more interesting than the story in the first game, and like but it's still not great. Another thing I wanted to bring up,
I think
that's
okay. No, you go first.
Yeah, that's kind of more the point that I wanted to bring up. Actually, is like in Destiny 1, your main character spoke, but they didn't speak often, and what they did say was kind of pointless. So
Right.
I can understand why they in Destiny 2 decided your main character isn't going to say a word, because like
there was basically no point.
There was absolutely no point in it, so we just fucking cut it out. Like there's no point at all. But at the same time, I feel like kind of seems a little bit lazy, and they maybe should have just made it a little bit more interesting, I guess.
Well, yeah, like right. Rather than doing it the other way around, so like the first game they have lackluster, voice lines and shit.
Like why
instead of getting rid of everything, why not improve it?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I kept thinking throughout playing the game, and I'm going to think about this every single time I play a video game now.
Every single waking moment.
Like every game I play where I think this character isn't talking, all these lines are shit, I'm gonna think, why isn't it like Titanfall 2? God damn it, why can't we pick dialogue options like within the game?
If you haven't played Titanfall 2, how it works, rather than having like lots of like cutscenes or like just lots of like dialogue you're not really paying attention to and just happens and it's like, yeah, whatever. A lot of Titanfall 2 is so you're in this big mech and the mech talks and he has like a personality, and so rather than like your main character just talking about whatever with him, it kind of does, but like, so he'll ask a question and like as you're still playing the game, there'll like be a timer on the screen and it'll give you like 2-3 options and you can pick which one, and like it changes obviously the conversation from that because you actually say that thing, and it's not like it doesn't affect the story or anything, but it does like build the connection between you and this machine you're meant to care about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that would have been really good in a game like this, especially with like how much people just didn't care about the story in the last game, and how like the game had like what's the word? I can't think of the word to describe it. Well, how much people like didn't like the story was so shit in Destiny 1. I feel like a great way to do that would have been like you just those little character moments between, because you have that, but it's just like an NPC character talking to you and you don't say anything.
Yeah, when you get that, like it's really common in first-person shooter games. So, while you're going through a mission, you've got someone on like your headset and they're talking to you, and like you don't listen. You just tune it out.
Yeah.
You play the game and you tune that out. But Titanfall 2 almost forces you not to like ignore it, because even if you don't pick one of those dialogue options, that counts as picking something, because it's just like, oh, like why'd you ignore me type thing. But I think a common misconception about multiple choice in terms of things like dialogue and really anything in the game, because I remember hearing people talk about this a while ago, is that choices you make have to have like some big impact on the story or something. Like, what's the point in choice if it doesn't really change anything? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you must have seen people complain about that in like games where it's like, well, it asked me to choose a path between this or this, but the ending of the game is still the same.
It's like the way that people complain about like Telltale games. They always end the same, or like you save someone and then they're gonna die eventually because like they have to be written out at some point, otherwise.
I think it depends, because I think if there is choice, there should be a point to having that choice. So like, I do think actually getting you to listen to what they're saying and building, I suppose, an emotional connection to the character is, it does actually serve a purpose for the story, and it definitely has its place. But then when you get games that are like, oh, you choose the story, it goes, and it actively advertises that, there are choices, and consequences, it, like in those cases, it does make it feel like, hey, the ending of the game or like the way the story goes is dependent on what I do. So it is, not gonna lie, a little bit annoying when you play games like that where that's almost the only reason you're playing, and then it just doesn't matter.
Yeah. Like, you might as well just not fucking play the game at that point. Just watch like a movie or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think what I was going to say, it was about mainly the point before. I feel like there aren't many multiplayer games that do story well contextually, in that there are a lot of people like you doing the same thing. And I don't get why. Like, maybe there is, and I'm missing it, or I've not played it.
The problem is exactly for kind of the reason that I said, is that like, well, like either everyone is the chosen one, or like,
but like,
or like
why can't
the events, or like the big bad is defeated by someone completely different that no one controls. In which case, like, well, that's really fucking boring. Why aren't I doing that?
But the big bad is defeated by you and, you know, the other people that you did it with, but
in your personal story, it's just you.
Yeah, no, but that's what I mean is, why does it have to be? Why can't it be, you know, so all right, so say to do the last mission in the game, you have to have 4 other people or whatever. I don't know.
Actually, no, you say that, but there was a really nice moment. Destiny doesn't normally do this. Normally when you go into a mission in Destiny, that's it. You're with your group of people, and like you might come across like a couple of people as well whilst you're out in the world, but like they'll be doing something else whilst you're doing a story mission. The final mission of Destiny 2 opens, if you're very lucky, like an instance full of people, and they're all doing the same mission at once, because it's on a completely unique location. So there's no one like walking around the open world in general. Everyone is doing this mission at once. And like that was really good, and then you get to a point where it blocks you off from seeing other people.
I mean, the main thing I wanted to say was, rather than have the story dependent on, yeah, you're definitely the only one who did this, you know, so say, like I said, you know, you need 4 people to do this last mission, raid, whatever. I don't know how it works, but let's say you need 4 people to do it, right? Why not have it so, like, in the story, it is you and the 4 other members of the elite team you're on, you know, because that would explain why you're also like good and powerful, but it also doesn't lay it solely on you.
See, like I feel like the reason why I bring up what I did about the final mission is because it was seamless, so it wasn't like you needed 6 people or whatever, but there would be 6 people around you doing the same thing as you. So I feel like,
obviously I don't know how it works. Like, can you do the last boss by yourself?
Yeah, yeah, you do it on your own. Like I say, it cuts you off from the other people that
so you're meant to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Because when I think of Destiny, I think of like a party of people doing it together.
No. I mean, you can do it. You can do it with other people, but I mean, it cuts you off from like the people that you're not directly playing with, but have loaded into the same mission.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would have been better if you loaded into the, or like you went into the mission, you got to the final boss, and it also loaded like some other people in as well, until like there were multiple of you fighting the final boss at once.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think, because obviously it's hard for me to say, you know, not played it, don't know how things are contextually or whatever, but at least on paper, doesn't actually sound that hard to do. It's just something, when you're designing a game, obviously you don't have all of the people running around, so maybe you just don't think of it like that.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
You know, they only think of it like basically a single player experience, because when you're doing it, there is just you know?
Yeah.
But then, like, I think if you're making a game that is online only, you should maybe think about stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Although, having said that, we're way off making something that's multiplayer.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
We can only make swords and cubes that float around on the floor.
And we're here criticizing.
Why can't I see the other cubes floating around on the floor?
Yeah, why aren't there?
Why am I the special cube that takes 10
You're
seconds
the chosen
to change
one.
direction? The chosen cube.
Yeah, the chosen cube. Yeah. That should be the title of our first game.
If you win as the chosen cube, you get a really, I was going to say the master sword, but that's already a thing. You get a really powerful sword that's not shaped like a sword. It's really shaped, Matt. Which is also grey and textureless. Did you like my own impression? I was pretty proud of that.
That was a pretty good impression, I'll admit. Yeah.
All right, so any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'd like to see more like seamless multiplayer kind of aspects in games like that. And also more aspects that are like more like the little character building things, like in Titanfall 2.
So I think like as well as like, you know, like being seamless, like you say, I also think they should make sense contextually.
Yeah.
Within the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just like, you know, say if it was Halo, there's like, oh, I'm Master Chief in the the last mission, and obviously there is only one Master Chief.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then everyone else is Master Chief, and they're all running around. It's like, well,
it kind of looks a bit weird. Yeah,
exactly. So it's got to hit both boxes to be good.
Anyway, you want to get onto your thing, Matt, because you have a video game related topic to bring up that isn't necessarily about development, but kind of about something that's been going on over the past week or so.
Yeah, something. So if you follow gaming news at all, you've probably seen the tutorial video that was posted of Cuphead, the 25 or so minutes from Game Vault, Game Beat, something like that.
Is it Game Beat or Venture Beat?
Venture Beat.
Yeah.
Something like that. Of them, so unedited, uncut gameplay. And the most criminal bit that everyone's, getting up in arms about is the tutorial where literally very start, you're playing as Cuphead, which is like a side-scrolling shooting game. So teaches you press A, jump over a box, and then there's a really tall box that you need to jump on that box and then dash over, the other box. And it clearly says, it's written on screen, A to jump, Y to dash. And it took him 3 minutes?
It took him,
I think,
quite a long time to work it out.
It took him a long time. And because obviously it's unedited, it was painful if you watched it.
Yeah, not only does it take him a long time to work out how to do it, but also once he's worked out how to do it, it still takes him a long time to work out, to actually do it.
Yeah, so he works out that he could, so he's like, so he knows he can dash, so he tries jumping and dashing, but not jumping on the box and then dashing over it.
And then he doesn't dash far enough or doesn't dash at the right point and shit like that.
I've seen a lot of arguments about this.
So
bear in mind, this guy says he's been doing gaming journalism for 18 years. So how he doesn't have the mechanical skills to know how to do this,
can't work that out. It still feels
beyond
a bit weird.
me.
Yeah,
but
that. I mean, that was people have. I've seen some pretty dumb arguments like that because people have said well, you don't expect movie critics to be able to make a movie. It's like, no. But you expect them to at least be able to understand a movie and be critical about it. Yeah, you don't expect them to be confused at the story at the first fucking second or whatever.
So there have been two main conversations that have really arisen from this, and one of them is how good do game journalists have to be at games, to actually do that. That's not what we're going to be focusing on, because, this is mainly about us making games, game design, and etc.
I really want to shit on video game journalists.
Ours is going to be about the tutorial itself and conveyance, what a tutorial needs to convey to the player in order to be sufficient. And I think there are good arguments for this case that, some games are just really too alienating. Fighting games are, I think, personally, the absolute most guilty of this in the world.
Yeah, I can't play fighting games.
There'll be loads of complex mechanics and combos, and it won't really tell you how to use them. Some do. Skullgirls has a really good one, and a couple others. But then they'll just have a training room where you can practice them and a massive list of combos. And it's like, well, you're not really teaching me anything. You're just expecting me to do it from trial and error. And especially mixing them up into combat is really confusing and tricky, and that's why fighting games to a lot of people are really alienating. With Cuphead, I do think that I mean, it's a hard game.
Yeah, but it's a platformer.
Yeah, no. So it's like it's meant to be like a tough as nails, like Contra style, I suppose. It's similar to like Contra and games like that. That sort of platformy shooty game, but like it's not teaching. Like it's teaching you everything you should know. All right. So the main thing that you see is it teaches you to jump over the first box, but then it just tells you to dash after that. So the argument is that the game has taught you to jump over the box, but then is expecting you to then return to it without being explicitly told. But I think, especially for a game like if it was a kid's game, I'd kind of get it, maybe. But it's Cuphead. It's a game that is really hard. It's designed to be hard. It's marketed as being difficult. So if you can't do that, of all things, like have the basic, like, I'd say puzzle solving, but it's not a puzzle. No. It's just like
problem solving.
Yeah, like problem not even solving,
like,
I guess.
If you can't, like, because like I guess like difficulty in games is usually problem solving. Like that's how like
sort of
a lot of
arguable.
What?
It's arguable.
No, I would say it's problem solving. Like,
but like difficult combat in games isn't really problem solving.
It kind of is. You're solving a problem to like an enemy's pattern or whatever.
Only if it's that kind of game, though.
Okay, fine.
Like, so, all right, so like Dark Souls.
I am thinking of Dark Souls, yeah.
Because I knew you were thinking of Dark Souls because you're an idiot. Owen likes Dark Souls and I don't, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
Because I think it's boring and dull.
Yeah, it's okay, fine.
But I understand the appeal, to be honest. I do understand it. Like, yeah, with games like that, then it is, yeah, but then, you know, there is the problem solving half, and then there is the, you know, the half of gaming that's based on like just reflexes and instinct, like shoot 'em ups, games like that.
Yeah.
Or shmups, whatever you want to say. But yeah, like problem solving, like you say, is a really big part, at least, of difficulty in games. So like in a game like Cuphead, it is like working out what enemies do, because after this bit, you know, that when he eventually dashed over that box, he tried to jump on the enemies at least like 4 or 5 times before working out that that's not how the game works, and it's not Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
And like at that point, it's just like, this isn't the game for you. This isn't the game for you. So I think like
yeah.
What would be. But then that's when you reach the difficult question, in that, like, how simple do you have to make things? Like, so, because hard games obviously have every right to exist, but then when, like, because the article that, like, went alongside with this video complained about, like, parts of the game not being clear enough, and, like, game journalists defending, like, you know, the backlash that this has gotten, have defended you know, him, and that the game doesn't convey things clearly enough. And it's like, there's a point where like this game is just too hard for you, you know?
Yeah, but like it's you know, that's a difficult one then, because like, is it really our position to be saying stop playing this game because it's too hard for you?
That's the thing. Like, so say you're on the creator side, you know, you're not thinking about making a game specifically to alienate a certain audience.
Well, yeah.
You know, you're not like, you've got to be this good at games in order to play our game. Obviously, there are games that kind of market themselves like that, like Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition.
God, that's such a meme, though. Fuck off with that shit.
I'm kidding, Owen. I'm kidding.
I hate you.
I love you. I just mean, obviously, like, there are games that, you know, you're gonna, like Super Meat Boy did that, you know, you're gonna die all the time. It's really difficult. Shit like that. Cuphead doesn't do that as explicitly, but it is very obviously a hard game.
Yeah.
But then I don't think, they make that game being like, oh, well, only people who are this good at video games can play. Because if they did, they wouldn't have had what I would call, like, the tutorial seemed really easy.
Yeah.
And, like, kind of handheld you a little bit at the beginning. Like, they want people who aren't that initiated with these kind of games to play them. But then it does just reach a point where, like, you can't teach people that just don't have common sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what I call it. Like
because
fair enough. Like not not being able to play, like, if you gave me like a fucking Madden game, I wouldn't know how to play that because A, I don't understand American football.
Yeah.
B, I wouldn't know any of the fucking controls. But like,
it's a platformer.
Yeah, it's one of the most iconic, like,
and he must know what Mario is because he
tries to jump
on the enemies. He's played a platform before, nothing new.
And like, I get not every platformer has dashing, but air dashing is a pretty
well, and it tells you how to air dash. Like you could guess how to jump, but it tells you how to dash. Like,
yeah. I mean, I just thought it was pretty interesting, and I think like, when you're making a game, you do need to think about like, who's the target audience of this game, and like, how do I convey, the information that I like. To me, I think Cuphead did it right. Absolutely. I think they explain things really clearly.
I think there is room to improve on Cuphead a little bit.
I think like the slight argument that can be made is you've already jumped over the box. Don't make someone go back to jump over the box.
Yeah, and also,
it's really
like,
nitpicky and wouldn't be a topic of conversation if it wasn't for this. If it wasn't for this video, people would have just been like, well, of course that's what you do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I completely agree. Like, that's the only reason why I even bring that up, because I know full well that, like, yeah, okay, I might play that game and I might, like, the first time I'm playing it, think, okay, right, I've jumped over the box now, and then, like, not looking ahead, come to the next box and realize, oh, right, okay, oh, no, now I have to go back. Okay, that's a bit like, I don't think anyone would get that immediately without knowing that it was there.
You could even argue that it's teaching you not, like, to think a little more about what you're doing.
Yeah, it's teaching you to think ahead as well, yeah.
Yeah, like that sometimes you have to, like, you're not just running in a straight line.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you have to go back a bit.
That's true, actually. I haven't considered
I've not played Cuphead, but maybe it was deliberate. Like, you could argue that.
Yeah.
Like, just on the same level of, like, oh, they didn't convey it well enough, you could argue that it's good game design.
It's done on purpose like that to teach you to look ahead and not just look where the character is, and I don't know.
But I think it's very strange why the argument for that got brought up when, like I said, fighting games are a million times worse.
Yes.
But the thing with fighting games is you're just like, because I can play fighting games fairly well. I've played a fair few, and like normally when I pick up a new fighting game, I can play it because most fighting games, are the very similar fundamentals.
Yeah, like for the very reason that, like,
with
they don't want to have
games,
to teach you the new controls every time you pick up a new fighting game.
With fighting games, it's just assumed but then, like, that's like a million times worse than what Cuphead's doing, and I've barely ever seen any Russell. So like, say when Street Fighter V came out, I barely saw anyone being like, all right, so people complained it didn't have a training mode, I suppose. Actually, that was a bad example. like a training room, that's because it was an unfinished mess. But say Street Fighter V came out with that training room, because that's not the problem. People didn't complain about it not having like a decent tutorial or any fighting game. I've never seen that. Yeah, I've seen games like Skullgirls applauded for having good ones sometimes.
I kind of feel like maybe the reason that is because a lot of these like gaming journalists who might be in their like 30s or late 20s or whatever grew up playing fighting games.
But then they also grew up playing platformers, Owen.
Well, yeah, like I guess
they are way more likely to have grown up playing platformers.
That's true, yeah.
Like, say, like, I don't know, fucking Mega Man or something has dashing and air. Mega Man X has like dashing and air dashing. And like,
No, you're right. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, obviously, fighting games were really popular as well. So, like you say, but yeah, I think it's just interesting, and I wanted to bring it up because something I'd never really thought about before. Like,
it's the way like tutorials handle.
How dumb do you have to make things?
Yeah. I remember there was that podcast that the developers of like a couple of guys who worked on the PS2 Ratchet and Clank games did a few years ago, and I remember them talking about at one point that like there were like those puzzle sections, and if you failed so many times, the game made it purposefully easy.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like in the comments were saying like, well, why was that the case? Like, why would you like if you can't complete the puzzle, then like, then like you just bad at it. Just learn to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And they would say, but you couldn't really do that because like you couldn't have like it was bad form to have someone play the game and not like be able to get past a bit because they thought it was too difficult or whatever. Like that's what they said. They said something like that. They said like if it was too difficult, it was our fault that we didn't put something in place to make it like easier or whatever. Yeah.
There's a fair few things like that in a lot of games. I remember New Super Mario Brothers has a thing where I think if you die a few times, or I think actually it just lets you. Is it New Super Mario Brothers?
Is that the one where like it has an invincibility like item or something?
Or like there's putting like helping blocks around and stuff like that.
Oh
like,
yeah, that was the Wii U one, wasn't it? Where you could press it on the touchscreen. Yeah.
Yeah, so like making things easier, because I don't actually think the touching on the screen for the blocks is necessarily a thing after you've died a few times. I think that's just the thing it lets you do.
Yeah.
But there are games like, all right, so say there's a level or a little bit of a level, you die too many times, there's a button to skip it. I've seen that a fair bit.
Yeah. I've seen games that say like this mission's too hard. Do you want to like not play
lower the difficulty as well,
things
like that,
or shit like that.
Like I think Call of Duty did that because I remember trying to do the ending mission on COD 4, I think, on Veteran, and it was really fucking hard. And like every time you died after a certain point, I was just like, have you tried playing on like hard instead of Veteran?
A lower difficulty?
Are you sure you're like, maybe you're a bit shit? And like, it works in both ways, I think. Like those ones, I think that's good. Rather than automatically making it easier, I think it's better if it like just says we can make it easier, because then it either like drives you to be like, fuck you game, I'm gonna do it. On the difficulty I chose, because I'm absolutely like that.
Yeah, same.
Or you're gonna be like, oh, I didn't know I had that option, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. I do,
but still, if you can't work out how to dash over a block, you're a fucking idiot, and you don't deserve to be doing games journalism. I'm sorry. 18 fucking years.
How have you done 18 years? Yeah, okay, let's go on to this.
18 years, you don't know how to dash over a fucking block, you god imbecile.
Wow, Matt. Jeez.
We said we weren't going to talk about it.
If we're gonna shit on like video game journalists for being bad at video games, let's talk about Doom. Let's talk about that goddamn Polygon playthrough of Doom.
I didn't actually see that.
Have you never seen it? Okay, right.
No.
So
I heard about it though after hearing about this.
Yeah. So to describe it to you, the person playing, I think they must be playing on a controller. They must be playing on console. And they don't move like both analog sticks at once.
Because that's how my dad plays.
Well, yeah, that's how but that's not how you'd expect someone to play a video game who's a journalist.
Yeah,
who works for Polygon or whatever. Yeah, that's
pretty funny.
But most of the video is them like they're aiming in a direction and then they move to line up the enemy in that direction and then stop and move the analog stick again to aim like more accurately. It's like
it's a problem where like, so say because at that point when you're a games journalist doing videos like that, you are representing the game, And at that point, you're just
Yes.
representing it badly.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, like, especially when you get videos that are like, hey, the first 25 minutes of Cuphead or the first 20 minutes of Doom or whatever, those aren't the first 20 minutes because you're, like, getting stuck on simple things and dying repeatedly.
Yeah.
You're not showing me, because if I watched a video like that and, like, it doesn't sell the game very well, does it?
I was watching some stuff on Destiny 2, back to that, before, like a week or so before it came out. It was like someone posted a video that I think it might have been Game Informer or something shit like that was like, here's an hour of Destiny 2 footage, and I was like, holy shit, that's way more than anyone else. And you watch it and you realize, yeah, because they can't aim for shit, and they never aim down sights.
So it wasn't very informing.
No, it was an hour worth of, like, some guy doing the same number of missions as other people do in 25 minutes.
Game Informer. Not that informative.
Exactly, yeah. Fucking awful. But, like, shit like that is just, it's so... Like, it sounds really snobby of us.
It does. Like that's the thing, because, like, the backlash has been like, gamers are so elitist.
They're so entitled.
Blah, 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 blah.
It's like...
Because I get, like... All right, I get not knowing video games. So when I said my dad playing first-person shooter games, I don't, like, steal the controller back. Oh, God, Dad, you're so fucking shit at this game. It's funny because, obviously, he doesn't know what he's doing. And, like, if I had to learn something like dual analog controls, never playing with them, damn right, I'd be like, I wouldn't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
At least to begin with. The problem is when you're a games journalist and you're representing those games, you're representing them badly.
Yeah.
And that's literally, it's your job, well, part of your job to, represent them well. And I get being a games journalist and being bad at games or whatever, that can be a thing as well, of course. But then you're not the ones that should be doing that content.
Yeah, like, especially...
Also, why didn't they just edit it down?
Yeah. And, like, you get shit like when people are playing, well, like when the people reviewing a game are bad at it and they're saying this game is shit just because they're bad at it as well.
I saw something. This same guy did a review of Mass Effect, the first one, ages ago, like, when it first came out. Like literally like 10 years ago. And his review gave it like a really bad score. But then it got, like, updated a little bit after, and, like, with an apology, because he never did any of the skill trees.
Oh my God.
So he was like, this game's too hard, it sucks, 1 out of 10. It wasn't a 1 out of 10, whatever it was. Rated it really badly, and then had to redact it later because he never used any skill points.
Oh my God, so he missed, like, a whole...
Even though the game literally handholds you, like, unskippable tutorial, like, assign a skill point to this one, like every game with skill points does, for that exact reason.
Yeah.
And then if you have skill points to spend, flashes up on screen like, you have skill points.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not related to what we were talking about. But, there's a little bit of food for thought.
No video game journalist is ever going to be like playing our games.
Yeah, well, mainly because our games are going to be shit.
I mean, that too, but yeah. Like, we're never going to be playing because we shout on them.
I mean, because there is the whole thing of game reviews being rushed because of, the rat race to get things out on day one and things like that, so not being an actual good representation of the game. So say, like, they got their review code a week before, maybe it's a really big game, like, say The Witcher 3, that's not a game you could probably review fairly in a week, unless you, I guess, played it literally non-stop. But then also, you need you need time, and, like, it really is a rush.
Well, you see, to write or to play, like, you probably could play the whole of, like, The Witcher 3 in a week, but to then also write the review at the same time, maybe not.
Yeah, of course. Well, no, like, not only playing it, but it's like,
and playing it enough as, like, all, like,
and, like, obviously, like, the side stories and everything,
and like soaking in enough of it, not just, like, speed running it or whatever. Yeah,
absolutely balancing it. But yeah, that's Anyway, maybe a topic for another time, but not one we wanted to dwell on today.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we wrap things up, let's say what we're gonna try and do for next week. Owen has said that I'm going to be making a door.
Yeah, we've
a very
on that.
complicated door with a door texture,
doorknob,
and a doorknob,
and
maybe some door hinges,
maybe some kind of markings on the door.
Ooh, markings.
Okay.
I
mean, the way it might be shaped, so there's insets on it or whatever.
Yeah, I get it. No, I wasn't just going to do a flat piece of wood with a circle on it.
Okay.
Because you did say a complex door, so I'll try at least, and then if it's a shit door, I'll make something else as well.
Fine.
Maybe we'll see. I'll at least do the door. Owen, what are you going to be doing for next week? Are you going to make the cube hit the floor?
I'm probably going to turn the cube into a sphere.
Cheap.
Yeah. And I don't know. I want to make
Wait a second.
What?
Last week you said it was going to jump.
I did. That's true.
That cube doesn't fucking jump. Actually, wait. I guess it's always airborne. That's not jumping.
I mean, you didn't put a texture on your model, so you said you were going to do that too.
What?
You didn't put a texture on your model, and you said you were going to do that too.
Oh shit!
So
wait,
yeah. So we've both
fuck. We're both colossal failures.
Yeah. We got to laugh at each other.
Oh god.
Okay. No, I'm tempted to try and make some kind of I kept thinking of. Did you ever play Mercury?
No.
It's a game where you control a big lump of mercury. Yeah. Going around some go around different levels, which are just mazes almost, and collecting items and shit. I'm tempted to make something like that with a ball, because those games are quite simple.
Okay. Well, let's simplify it. Your aim is to make something that is more like an actual game.
Yes. Yeah. All right.
All right. So let's say, so because you mentioned a maze, right? So let's say that it's that it's going to be about getting, there's a starting point and then there's an ending point.
Yeah.
Let's say that. Let's say what you do has a start and an end, at least.
A win and loss condition.
Yeah, maybe it has an item you can pick up, or maybe a key you need to open the door. The door! Maybe you could use my door.
I can use your door!
You play as a floating RuneScape sword, trying to get to the door.
No. What you got to do is
the key is a cube.
You're a
sphere. I haven't made a key yet.
You're a sphere, and you've got to collect the sword to chop down the door.
That's a lot better than the idea I had.
You've got to texture your sword now.
I do have to texture my sword. Don't worry, I'll be spending the next week trying to work that out. But anyway, now we have some rough ideas on what we're going to be doing.
None of it's going to get done.
None of it's going to get done. And I'm going to do everything on the right at the last minute.
Hell yeah.
And
then I won't have a door because you won't have made it.
Yeah, you'd be like, well, I didn't make anything either because, I was expecting the door.
Yeah, where's my door?
Where's my door?
That's got to be the title of our
game. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
See you then.